Tonight's homework is an extension of the Shapes Factory. You're going to work on GeoGebra to create the figures that were listed in the Shape Factory inventory. And you'll label them with the labeling tool. So the half square, I'll show you how I made these. The half square was made by simply putting a point at 0, 3, a point at the origin 0, 0, and a point at 3, 0, and connecting them with the polygon tool. Remember to use the polygon tool. You simply click each vertex and back around to the first vertex. When you hover over the tools up here, you get directions on what to select and then what actions to take. So there's my half square. And then I made 2 points and used the regular polygon tool to create the equilateral triangle. And then I moved it because I wanted it to be oriented like it was in the Shapes Factory inventory. I think it's on page 60 in your textbook. It's the picture you drew at the start of exercise 1-90 in class. And then I used the text box to create a label for the half square. So let's go ahead and create a label for the equilateral triangle. And I'm going to make that red and medium sized using object properties. That's pink, isn't it? The next figure is the half equilateral. So half equilateral, I guess that I know that in a half equilateral there is going to be a perpendicular line. So I guess I'm going to make a point at 0, -5. And a point at, how about 5, -5? Didn't exactly land on 5, -5, so I'm going to fix it using the properties of the point. And now I'm going to put a line through these two, and I'm going to use the perpendicular line tool to create a line through H that's perpendicular to line G. And I would like a point anywhere on G. Oops, that's not the point tool. Point anywhere on G. And now I need to use the angle tool to create a 60-degree angle at I. So I'm going to use the angle with the given size tool. Hover over it, it tells me to select a leg point, then a vertex, and then a size. Leg point, vertex. I would like it to be 30 degrees, and it's going to need to go counterclockwise. And my 30-degree angle will be created if I go through the vertex and then through the point created. I would like an intersection point at these two lines. Oops, I didn't get a point. And I can turn off the other points that were created. I can even turn off the lines, I think. So I'm just right-clicking on these lines and turning the object off. Go back to the polygon tool, connect these 3 points, return to the original point, and I'm hoping that this will let me move it around a little bit. I want to be able to move this up. So how about if I change point I, object properties. If I move this up and I zoom out a little bit, I should be able to move this guy around so that he's oriented more vertically. And there's my half equilateral. I've spelled it wrong. Let's make it medium-sized, and let's make it red. And then the obtuse triangle. Can be created with 3 points. So to start tonight's homework, I want you simply to create the 4 objects in the inventory. And once you've done that, I would like to see the transformations. So in order to create a midpoint, you're going to have to make segments. So I'm going to start on the obtuse triangle because I think it will make some interesting reflections and rotations. I'm creating a segment on each side, and I'm going to put a midpoint on there. And using the transformations tool, we can reflect about a line. We can reflect about another line. We can turn off the original object. Oops, not what I wanted. And we can reflect about a different line. I would like to reflect this object about this line. So those are interesting transformations, and as part of the Shapes Factory exercise, you're asked to describe each transformation. So think about whether these are unique new shapes or whether they're copies of shapes you've already gotten. Rotation about a point. I would like to hover over it to see what the direction is. I need to select an object. then a center point, and the angle. So here's my object, here's my center point. I want to rotate 180 degrees. That's an interesting shape. I wonder if it's different from the shape I get when I rotate 180 degrees around this point. Definitely a new shape. And I wonder if it's different than when I rotate 180 degrees about this point. Interesting. So I want you to describe the properties of each of these shapes. So I'm going to hang a GeoGebra file up in this exercise that you can open up and you can use to do the transformations that the Shapes Factory exercise asks you to do. What I want you to do is describe them really well in writing. What are the new figures that you get by performing one transformation on each shape, and how many can you come up with?